Alright guys, I'm here back with a new video, and in this video, for some reason, I am back talking about Assassin's Creed. Now, almost a year ago, when the announcement that Assassin's Creed Infinity was on its way, I did make a video where I was essentially saying farewell to Assassin's Creed. And in many ways, my opinions from that video have not changed. However, recently there was a 2022 showcase for the 15th anniversary of Assassin's Creed, and through watching it, I felt like I still had a good chunk of opinions about the things that are coming that I wanted to talk about here. So because of that, I'm back with another impromptu video talking about my thoughts on Assassin's Creed. Which, again, I think this will be the last one. Again, I said that last year. But first, I guess we'll just talk about my general thoughts on the 2022 showcase, which is that it was extremely underwhelming. Now, I didn't come into it with high expectations. Again, I have no faith in Assassin's Creed at this point to be the product that I personally want it to be. However, even despite that, I felt like through seeing what is to come of Assassin's Creed, it's made me feel even more resolute in the fact that I just simply don't care about Assassin's Creed anymore. Where they had so much to talk about, so many reveals here, but of things that simply have no substance to them. We saw CGI trailers, we saw literally just logos of things, no gameplay at all, yet people are still singing Ubisoft's phrases here, and it is kind of insane to me that despite this supposedly being this big 15th anniversary celebration, they couldn't show any gameplay of anything across this event. So that alone to me was extremely underwhelming, but still, let's run through the things that were announced here, and I'll talk about my thoughts on them as we go. First up is the upcoming new main entry of the series in Assassin's Creed Mirage, which I will say of the things that we know are coming up here, I am probably the most excited for Mirage, but again, not by much. I mean, straight up, Mirage is everything I've been wanting Assassin's Creed to do for years now. Again, with the RPG trilogy in the recent years, that has really stirred Assassin's Creed away from its initial concept. I always wanted them to go back to the old school formula for Assassin's Creed of a more linear narrative-based experience, one that focuses around assassinations and stealth and parkour, and on paper, that is exactly what Mirage is. The problem is that despite that being what Mirage is being marketed as this return to form and it having parallels to Assassin's Creed 1, in reality, I have no faith that that's actually what it's going to be. A fundamental issue of all this is the fact that this is being built off of the Valhalla engine. Now, this is obviously originally supposed to be a DLC for Valhalla that they later expanded into its full-blown game, and because of that, I do not expect this to play anything like the original Assassin's Creed 1, where again, what was so great about Assassin's Creed 1 were the core mechanics of the game and how they functioned, and I feel like using the Valhalla engine, I have no faith in them actually giving us the gameplay experience that we were given with Assassin's Creed 1. I mean, the parkour and stealth systems in Valhalla are really terrible, taking control away from the player, and that is something I simply do not want in a parkour system from Assassin's Creed. Something so great about the original Assassin's Creed was the amount of freedom that it gave you in how you navigated the world, which the more time has gotten away from that original game, the more freedom that's been taken away from the player. I also feel like people are misinterpreting the overall concept of Mirage here, where I do think a lot of people are talking about how, again, this is a return to form for Assassin's Creed, with it returning to the style of game that the older games used to be. However, in reality, this is just a minor blip moving forward, where beyond this, through the announcement of the other games we'll be talking about later, they've already confirmed that they are sticking with the open world RPG formula, meaning this is simply a thing to sucker fans back in, the ones that are like me, that love the original games, and suckering them into caring about Assassin's Creed again. I have no faith in the game to actually be what they want it to be. And I think an example of that is the fact that we already know that there is going to be a DLC side quest involved and other cosmetic aspects of the game. And really, I do feel like in many ways, this is just simply not going to be the return to form that many people are expecting it to be, and especially in the fact that we haven't seen any gameplay of it, and I feel like that is probably intentional, as considering this game is coming out next year, they for sure would be able to show show us some gameplay if they really wanted to, and the fact that they didn't, I think, is to further mask the fact that this is simply not what people are expecting it to be. But again, out of any of these games that are coming up in the future, Mirage is the one that I am probably the most likely to play, but in reality, I do not have that high of expectations for Mirage. Now, I guess I should also mention the fact that there were these rumors about a potential Assassin's Creed 1 remake/remaster that obviously didn't end up getting announced here and actually got confirmed after the event that it's not in development, which I'm kind of two minds on if it were to happen, where at this point I have grown a lot of respect for the original Assassin's Creed. I do think being able to play a modernized version of it would be fantastic. However, I also have no faith in Ubisoft to make a modern version of it that would actually be good. Even doing it in a like Last of Us Part 1 way of remaking the game but in the modern engine would just, again, simply not work. At best, I would want a remaster. I think that could be fine, but you would think that this would be the perfect time to re-release Assassin's Creed 1. And the fact they're not, I think really just shows you that they're probably never going to. And to be honest, it wouldn't even make sense for Ubisoft's current game model to do so unless it is attached to some sort of season pass, which, again, they're not doing. Now, following this, we did also get the announcement of the last chapter for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I'm surprised they haven't done already. I mean, this is essentially going to what I assume be the explanation of Eivor being in Vinland when she dies. And how have we not done this already? But they've really dragged it on all this time. Again, I have no intention of going back to Valhalla and playing this. I have still not played any of the DLCs, even though I own them. I have not played Wrath of the Druids. I've not played Siege of Paris. I have not played Dawn of Ragnarok. And I do not intend on playing the last chapter here either. Then after that, we got the game that everyone has been waiting for, an Assassin's Creed game taking place in ancient China, only for it to turn out to be a mobile game called Assassin's Creed Codename Jade, which, I mean, what is there to say? Again, Assassin's Creed mobile game, open world game. I mean, I have no interest in this. I'm not going to play it. It's a RPG. You can create your own character. I don't know what this really adds to the series outside of them bragging about how, oh, we made an open world mobile game. And to be fair, for a mobile game, it does look impressive, but it's like, I don't really care. And with that, I mean, let's just wrap it up by talking about Infinity, which, again, got formally shown here along with two games that are going to be included with it. Mind you, we knew about these. This actually got leaked beforehand. Again, another aspect of the showcase is the fact that all these things were leaked already. Nothing new was shown across this entire showcase, which is really underwhelming. But the first game we end up seeing is Codename Red, which is this feudal Japan Assassin's Creed game, which they do confirm it is a continuation of the open world RPG formula. And I mean, to me, this game just looked ridiculous. I mean, the fact that we are playing as essentially a ninja in an Assassin's Creed game is insane to me. Also, the fact that it is being developed by Ubisoft Quebec is extremely worrying in itself as well. Also, I find it so bizarre how the main figures behind this game in Marc-Alexis Cotier and Jonathan Dermont are people who have allegations against them. And again, like I talked about this in my previous video, another thing that really stirred me off from Ubisoft were all of the workplace allegations against them, and the fact that these two people who have allegations against them are still leads on the series at this point is extremely icky to me as well. I mean, really, again, Codename Red, I have no real interest in. Again, obviously people have been wanting feudal Japan for a while. It's never been a setting that I've been that interested in, and the fact that it is continuing on with this open world RPG formula, and I really have no real interest in Codename Red personally, though we do follow it up with the other game that we have heard a bit more recently that this was in development, and that is Codename Hexe, which is developed by Ubisoft Montreal, so at least there's that. I'm assuming still the same team that did develop Revelations, Black Flag, Origins, and Valhalla. Dario McDermott is back, so at least there is that. And while the trailer itself didn't absolutely confirm this, I believe it has been confirmed that this is essentially going to be a game about witchcraft, which, again, the fact that they're connecting that to Assassin's Creed is going to be weird to me. But also, again, like, at the end of the day, I don't care that much. And while again, like if Darby McDevitt is involved, I do have more faith in it at least being a well-written product and him at least giving it his all. I still have no faith in Ubisoft to actually produce a good Assassin's Creed product. And even beyond that, after seeing what happened to Valhalla and my souring opinions on Valhalla, I do feel like at this point, this game probably will end up being in a similar vein. Though again, I do think there are aspects of this game that do sound interesting. I mean, the leak from a few days ago to talk about how this was going to be the darkest Assassin's Creed game ever, which again sounds very memeable. But I do feel like the extremely dark tone that this game exudes could be interesting, but again, will it be the Assassin's Creed I want it to be? No. And with that, I guess we could talk more generally just about Infinity as a whole, which just seems extremely underwhelming. I mean, in many ways, it just feels like a launcher for the other Assassin's Creed games, where we do know that the modern day is going to be through Infinity moving forward, essentially making it that there's no playable character and you are essentially the main character, which again, like feels like we're going back. We're going back to where we were when Unity and Syndicate were coming out, where again, the modern day is just really irrelevant. And that's why I'm expecting moving forward. Again, like this is simply just not anything of what I wanted from the series moving forward. And again, I am done with the series realistically. Where I said this last time, I still stand by it. I do think Infinity is the end of my involvement in Assassin's Creed. I don't expect to be covering anything from Infinity on. And again, really this event as a whole just did nothing for me. It really just furthered my disdain for the series as a whole, and it made me hate the direction the series is going even more. But again, down the road, I would like to redo my series ranking for Assassin's Creed. I would like to do other Assassin's Creed games just in general, particularly around the older games, but I just simply do not have much of an interest moving forward in the series, especially if we're continuing this boring RPG formula that the series has really relied on recently. And again, for me, Infinity just feels like the perfect cutoff point for that. Again, I mean, those are my thoughts on the current state of Assassin's Creed moving forward. We have a couple Assassin's Creed videos coming out at the end of the year here. Around time of their anniversary, I am going to be doing a retrospective for Assassin's Creed 3. I've done Assassin's Creed retrospective every year since AC2. And again, that plan will still move forward. I also did one for Liberation for some reason. That's coming as well. And way down the road, I would like to redo some of my rankings and possibly do some other rankings, though don't know exactly when that will be. Also, kind of by accident, this just kind of ended up being a period of time on the channel where I guess I'm doing a few video game videos here, where again, this was an impromptu one here. I am playing The Last of Us Part 1, which I will be doing a video of, talking about my general thoughts on that when I'm ready. Also, later in the year, I mean, A Plague Tale Requiem is coming out, and God of War Ragnarok. These games I'm excited for, so I'll probably do videos on those as well, along with the typical retrospectives that I typically like doing on the channel, even though no one watches them. But there we go. I mean, those are my thoughts on the current state of Assassin's Creed. Thank you for watching.